So here's a spoiler alert. Most of your clients don't believe most of the things that you say as a brand. And maybe they shouldn't, and I'll tell you why. For too long, entrepreneurs and business owners have been told they have to choose between profit and purpose. If you're tired of burning out, done chasing someone else's version of success, and ready to grow with more purpose, prosperity, and peace of mind, you're in the right place. Because every business has the potential to do good and do well. I'm Chase Friedman, and this is In Pursuit of Purpose, where strategy meets soul. We're living in the golden age of marketing speak. It's a great thing, but it's also a bit of a curse. There's a ton of white noise out there. So how do we cut through that white noise? Every founder says they care about their customers. They deliver groundbreaking results or change lives. It makes for a great story, but guess what? Most of your competitors are saying the same thing. We're flooding the world with promises, but we're starving it of actual proof. We're not walking the talk. And as I've heard someone claim the other day, we're living in this post-truth world. Make of that what you will. I'm not going to touch that any further, but we all buy something when it feels right, when it resonates on a deeper emotional level. And then we use logic to validate that purchase. And that's why saying something is better rarely wins, right? But being believable does. And the most believable brands don't rely on louder promises. They rely on proof, tangible evidence that they are making good on what they say. Something I'm always challenging my clients with are their reasons to believe. We call them RTBs. These aren't just optional marketing fluff components, right? These are the bridge between belief and behavior, right? Between what you say and what you take as your mission and your purpose and the actual tangible impact or transformation you're proven to make in the lives of your customers. So again, people aren't buying your words. They're buying the proof that you mean them. They're buying the proof behind it because all of us, we're more skeptical than ever. Of course we are. There's more messages being thrown our way than ever before, right? How are we supposed to sift through the white noise? It's not features, it's not so-called benefits, and it's not even price a lot of the time, right? We can be skeptic to all this until we are given something more to believe in for the brand and the product. We've all been burned. We've all been hyped to death and sold a million game changer messages and promises that ended up changing nothing. I've been there. I have subscribed to more courses and trainings and sort of growth hack way back in the day, little frameworks that did nothing. A lot of this is smoke and mirrors. And how are we supposed to differentiate people that are actually making a tangible difference and those that are just claiming it? So keep in mind, just as you would be a customer, think of your customers. They don't want another promise. They want evidence that feels real. I talk about brand and purpose all the time. Obviously, a lot of what this show is about. And it's what I live and teach. But let's be honest, the talk alone does not build trust. It cannot be just talking the talk. You've got to walk it. Purpose can be your anchor and it grounds who you are and why you exist. But you've got to have proof to back it up. How are you executing on that purpose? And what are you tangibly doing to make a difference in the lives of your customers? This is where most entrepreneurs fall short. It's really easy to make a claim on a website or marketing material. It's another thing to kind of back it up, right? With the proof and tangible evidence, case studies, data, metrics, testimonials. If you can't prove how, then it's just empty messaging. In business, that gap between what you believe and what you can prove is the difference between being heard and being believed. And when you're trying to attract your tribe, your super consumers, your loyal ambassadors, you can sell something to someone on a transactional engagement, maybe a one-time thing. But if you want to build lasting customers, lasting customer belief and brand trust, you got to build belief, right? So purpose might make people tune in and listen and give intrigue, but proof is what makes them stay. So we worked with a client in the healthcare space who had this genuinely transformative product, one that was going to change how hospitals and nurses and physicians operate. Their story was sounding a lot like other company in their field. They were a new startup. They were taking the course that most new businesses take, and they were kind of chasing the competition. And it ended up being look-alike and sound-alike. Smarter technology, better outcomes, changing the standard of care. These are things that almost all of their competitors could potentially claim. So how is their customer able to differentiate or know which is better or which is giving me the truth versus what's great marketing speak? All of that was true, by the way, for them, but none of it actually felt believable or differentiated. So we stripped out a lot of these buzzwords and we built the narrative around what they could actually stand behind. And in their case, this was real world validation. This was measurable results and outcomes that no competitor can touch. I'm a big fan of category positioning, right? Instead of playing in a crowded red ocean of your competitors, go find your own blue ocean. There's another great kind of phrase that Martin Neumeyer uses called your onlyness statement. If you can define what your onlyness is, or what you and your brand or product is sort of unique and in its own category for, lean in on that. In their case, they had a product and a technology that was the first and only of its kind in the marketplace. Right. So we decided to lean in on that versus chasing what other competitors were doing. That was kind of legacy marketing and legacy technology, and lean in on what was going to change the game. It's not always easy. You're starting a new category, and so you have to do a lot of education and awareness behind it. But once you establish that belief and that connection with your audience, you can own the space. Once their brand started leading with reasons to believe, which is verifiable proof, not just promises, everything was starting to shift, right? Prospects were tuning in. They were spending more time engaged in their webinars and their content, opening emails, attending events. They wanted to learn more. They were buying into belief, and they were willing to take that next step, that next leap of faith. And in a lot of cases, the cost of product switching was very high in this space. And so it takes a lot of belief to be able to jump from one product or procedure in, say, a hospital and healthcare to another solution. So you've got to build a lot of belief for them to kind of overcome that product switch hesitancy. And instead of continuing to be a lookalike brand amidst their competitors, shouting louder, right? How do they grab that share of voice from a crowded marketplace? They just had to show how they were different and how they were unique, right? So proof wasn't just building awareness, it was actually building their own authority and their own new category. So here's a little framework that I'd like you to try for your business and brand, right? This is the RTB system, reasons to believe. This is how you can turn proof into positioning power. There's a great quote: your brand isn't what you say, it's what people believe after you've said it, right? Or when you're not in the room. Reasons to believe are the connective tissue between your purpose and your performance. And why they matter? Because emotion drives attention, and people are buying with feeling and emotion first. We know this from data. We know this from research. They buy with logic second, but you've got to hook them with emotion, something to believe in. Proof can earn trust and brand loyalty, right? Brand ambassadorship in the best case, your super consumers, your tribe. Trust gives that feeling of permission to commit to something new. And in this case, a new technology. Trust builds loyalty, right? Loyalty compounds into sustainable growth, customer lifetime value, less client churn. When you can align the promise of what you do with the proof of actually having transformed lives, you stop trying to convince people or give them a hard sell, and you start convincing them or convicting them to believe in what you do. And that's the moment that your brand stops being just white noise in this crowded landscape and starts being known for something bigger and something different. We know purpose is the heart of the brand, but RTBs are like the heartbeat, right? It's the rhythm that keeps the belief alive long after the marketing messaging fades. It's what people are going to really truly remember and come back to when they're ready to buy and work with you. So come up with a list of your RTBs, right? It can be 3, it can be 4, it can be 5. And reasons to believe can be things such as customer testimonials. It can be case studies. It can be industry awards and validation. Anything that you have proven in the marketplace or for your customers that has created transformation, right? What are the tangible things that you can speak to that have shown that you can make good on that promise? So here's my challenge to you. Pull up your website, your pitch deck, your social posts, wherever you're kind of making big brand claims. And for every line where you're saying we help or we deliver or we transform, ask yourself, stress test this really, like where's the proof? And if it's not visible, it's probably invisible. Add one tangible reason to believe behind every major promise, right? So think of your reason to believe as that promise. Make sure to pair it with a tangible, measurable impact, and then kind of bookend it with what was the transformation that came from that promise. Right? This can be a story, a stat, a testimonial, before and after transformation, you name it, right? But go find it. Go find 3 to 5. Make sure you're integrating and updating it on your website and your collateral. So do you have the conviction behind the belief? Again, I'm going to just say this one more time. Purpose might earn your attention, might even get people in the door, but proof is what gets people to stay, right? It's that lasting belief in your brand and your product. So again, don't worry about just sounding convincing. Be believable. Walk the talk. I appreciate you tuning in today. I hope this brought you a bit of confidence, clarity, and conviction on your business journey. If something here resonated, do me a favor, leave a quick review or share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. It goes a long way in helping more people find the show and start their own journey. And as always, you'll find all the resources and ways to connect with me in the show notes. Now, go take that next step in building the business you've been dreaming of. Wishing you continued purpose, prosperity, and peace of mind.